Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute one. And this is a cracker. This topic is just another example of the way SNP play politics, right? They don't actually care about you or I. If anybody's in any doubt about that now, I don't know where you've been for the last 17 years, but this is another good example that they actually don't care. Now, this article is in the Express, and the headline is Disgraceful SNP Minister called for the UK Government Levelling Up Fund to be axed, despite skint councils receiving millions of cash. An exclusive, the then Scottish Government Wellbeing Secretary Neil Gray demanded that Westminster stop handling over millions in cash to the cash-strapped local authorities. A senior SNP minister has been labelled disgraceful after he privately called for the UK government's levelling up scheme to be axed, despite skint councils being directly handed millions of pounds for huge capital projects. Neil Gray made this call in emails with his officials in November 2023, when the third round of money was being handed out. He previously told how then First Minister Humza Yousaf rebuked Michael Gove over him bypassing the Scottish Government and giving £122 million to local authorities. Shona Robinson also privately wrote to the same UK minister to attack him and accuse him of overreaching. Cash-strapped councils have repeatedly complained about a lack of funding from the SNP executive, with many being forced to make brutal budget cuts to make ends meet. Money handed over by Westminster for specific issues, such as swimming pools, is utilised by the Nationalist administration for other means. Levelling up funding has reached £2.92 billion. It was claimed by Scottish Secretary Alistair Jack in December last year, with his initiative being introduced by the Tory government to help boost local communities. That is the equivalent of £535 for every person in Scotland, and at the end of 2022, it was £380 per person. Despite councils welcoming the funding, with the November tranche of £122 million going to 7 of them for important projects: Moray, North and South Ayrshire, South Lanarkshire, Glasgow, Dumfries and Galloway and the Scottish Borders all got a significant cash boost. With this going towards the likes of improving walking and cycling, investments in town centres in Elgin and Drumchapel, and new electric vehicle charging for cars and electric buses in Dumfries. But this annoyed the then Wellbeing Economy Secretary Neil Gray, who wrote to his officials to demand a supplementary question about the funding being answered with criticism of the whole project. He said, though investment in Scotland is always welcome, as I set out in my letter to Mr Gove on the 23rd of November, following the autumn statement, the UK government must desist from encroaching in devolved power and revert to using the Barnett formula to increase Scottish Government's budget, and allow us to work with our councils to ensure the best use of this type of investment in a coordinated manner. His outright criticism of levelling up funding was slated by the Scottish Tories, who pointed out that councils welcomed the cash for projects which could not be funded due to years of SNP underfunding. Scottish Conservative Shadow Finance Secretary Liz Smith told the Scottish Daily Express, Neil Gray's attitude is sadly typical of the SNP's endless capacity for manufacturing a grievance, even when they're getting additional funding. The UK government giving levelling up money directly to Scottish communities stands in stark contrast with Neil Gray's party, which has been clawing money back from local councils for years, leading to the savage cuts in essential services we now see. It's understandable that the SNP ministers should be embarrassed by that, but it's disgraceful that they should attempt to shortchange communities so they can keep their endless axe grinding against Westminster going. The Scottish Government insisted that Mr Gray did not call for funding from the UK Government to be decreased, A spokesman said Scottish ministers have been consistently clear that the UK government should invest its Levelling Up Fund directly to the Scottish Government's budget. This would allow us to coordinate with local authorities to ensure the best use of this investment, particularly in areas of devolved responsibility, to secure funding for public services and support economic growth. The Scottish Government spokesperson has done their nut. We've already seen endless examples of where money has been given to the Scottish Government for particular uses, and they totally ignored that and use it for whatever they want. This is just another example of how stupid they are. The councils are loving this levelling up money. They're crying out for more money. But not only did this SNP curtail their income by telling them they couldn't increase council tax, they're now wanting the UK government not to directly fund them, which any normal person would not have a problem with. But SNP love to have control of every penny so they can decide how best to use it, and they can use it in ways that they can then turn around and blame Westminster they don't have enough. It's just grievance politics at its utmost best. They are just abysmal. It's endless with them. So here we've got a situation where the UK government are wanting to bail out the local governments in Scotland who have been told they ain't getting any more money off the SNP, and the SNP are so angry about it. So in reality, are the SNP not wanting local governments to get any funding, or sorry, not any funding, that's a ridiculous claim, but to get any more funding? What is their actual aim here? What is it they're trying to achieve? Other than just moan. They moan when Westminster don't give them money, they moan when they do. It's just, it beggars belief, and it's beyond my comprehension to understand what these people really want. They are mental, absolutely barking. They can't see that a guy taking £11,000 out of the public purse for a phone bill that he should have paid all along is bad. They can't see that as bad. And they can't see this as good. These people are just, they've got no common sense, they've got no logic, they've got no normal thinking. Their only quest is to tell us all endlessly that Westminster is bad. Even in an instant like this, in an example like this, where the Scottish people are receiving money, extra money, hundreds of millions of pounds of money from Westminster. You just couldn't make it up, could you? Who do these people think they are? It's not possible, but if there was a Westminster government run by the SNP, they wouldn't be that bothered. And this whole thing about, it's Westminster, it's just constant, isn't it? I actually can't cope with it anymore. It's getting beyond belief. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, get a thumbs up, please. If you've not already done so, please consider subscribing. Most importantly, wish your Neil Gray, any SNP ministers, or the ever-dwindling number of cult members they've got. Everybody else, have a great day. Cheery bye now.